Hello, everyone. My name is Hussein. I'm a PhD student at the University of North Carolina. Today, I'll be presenting our work on exploring the usability, security, and privacy of smart locks from the perspective of the end user. So smart locks were introduced, smart locks are smart home devices that were introduced into the market as a replacement for traditional locks, right? It's a replacement that offers more features and more capabilities beyond just locking and unlocking the door. These features, there are many features for smart locks. For example, the ability to remotely lock and unlock the door, remotely control access to the door, giving keyless entry, the ability to keep access logs, and to the end of the list. But the problem with these features, these extra features, is that they sometimes require collecting personal information about the users. And about the household members, as well as exchange information with the cloud through the internet, which can sometimes be a cause for privacy and cybersecurity threats. And while a lot of work has been done on identifying the security and privacy concerns related to smart locks from the perspective of the researchers, not much work has been done on how concerned the end user is regarding these security and privacy concerns, and how the end user chooses to deal with these privacy and security concerns. So with that in mind, we conducted semi-structured interviews to study, to help us answer the semi-structured interview studies to help us answer the following research questions. So our first research question was, what aspect of smart locks design and functionalities make it appealing to users, to the user from a usability standpoint? What privacy and security concerns do end users have regarding smart locks? How do end users deal with their privacy and security concerns? And finally, what are the end users' perceptions regarding how the security and privacy of smart locks can be improved? For the sake of time, we will only focus on the first three research questions in this presentation. So to answer these questions, we conducted semi-structured interviews with 29 participants. All the participants were at least 18 years old, and they all had experience with using smart locks for at least 2 months prior to conducting the study, and they also have shared access to their smart locks with at least one person in the past prior to the study. Our participants were recruited through Reddit forums, as well as the university's mass email study announcement service, which advertises the study to students as well as staff and employees. Our semi-structured interviews were conducted virtually, and the interviews were divided into 2 sections, where the first section focused on understanding the usability and the usage behaviors of smart locks, and the second section of the study focused more on understanding the privacy and security concerns. So first, we were interested in learning the main reasons behind adopting a smart lock. Smart locks offer features that improve both the privacy and the convenience levels within the smart home environment. But what was it that motivated the users, or our participants in this case, to move from using a traditional lock to using a smart lock? So about 2/3 of the participants said that they mainly installed the smart lock for convenience, like the fact that they don't need to carry a physical key or the ability to remotely control the lock. Only 5 participants said that they bought the smart lock mainly for its security features. For example, the ability to remotely check the lock status, as well as not having to worry about losing the physical key. And 3 other participants mentioned other reasons, such as being convinced by a salesman or getting a recommendation from a neighbor. 12 participants said that they hesitated before making the move from using a traditional lock to using a smart lock. And the 2 main reasons for the hesitation were, first, the price, given the fact that smart locks are much more expensive compared to traditional locks. And the other reason was the security concerns, such as what happens if my phone is lost, what happens if the smart lock gets hacked. Some participants also had other reasons for the hesitation, such as being overwhelmed with the different options on the market or being concerned about how difficult the setup process would be. One of the main features of smart locks is the ability to grant digital keys to other users so that they could operate the lock. While 13 participants only shared access to their smart locks with people who live with them inside the house, more than half of the participants also felt comfortable sharing access to the lock with non-residents, such as pet walkers, nannies, or visiting family members. The main reason that made them feel more comfortable sharing access with non-residents is the fact that they can revoke access to the lock anytime without having to actually request the physical key back from the person, or having to deal with the fear of what if the other person creates a copy or makes a copy of the physical key. Another feature that smart locks offer is the ability to notify the user of different events, such as who's interacting with the lock, as well as getting security and privacy and battery status updates. And while the majority of the participants said that they had notifications turned on, 8 participants stated that they turned them off either because they got annoyed by how many notifications they got per day, or because they believe that it violates the privacy of the other household members. And in fact, one of the recommendations that we provided in the paper was that it would be easy to provide an option to the user to create custom notifications so that they only get notifications about the actions or the events that they want to be notified about. So that would probably solve both of the two issues. In order to understand the usage behaviors, we asked the participants about the smart lock features that they used the most. And the two mostly used features of the smart locks were remotely controlling the lock and keyless entry. We also asked the participants about how frequently they used some of the additional features that smart locks offer. And for the first 2 features we see over here, which are controlling the lock through voice commands and using auto unlock, we see that most of the participants never use these 2 features, almost. And the main reason for this was because they feel that these features might lead to unauthorized access to the house. Checking access logs is also rarely used, mainly because they trust the other users who have access to the lock, and they don't really need to see updates on who's using the lock and when. On the other hand, we see that the auto lock feature and remotely checking lock status are 2 of the most frequently used features of smart locks. And most users who said that they use these features more frequently, they said that using the features made them feel more secure, knowing that the door will be locked automatically whenever they leave the house, and that they can always check the lock status remotely. As for the security and privacy concerns, we first asked the participants about their main security and privacy concerns related to smart locks. And the two main concerns were hacking, as well as using and sharing access codes, which includes things like shoulder surfing or fingerprints showing on the keypad or the touchpad that is used to unlock the door. Other participants mentioned concerns like physical tampering with the lock, getting locked out, and losing the smartphone. We also asked the participants about their level of concern regarding specific possible security and privacy issues and concerns. And we see that for the first three issues, which were the fact that smart locks store their personal information, keeps a log of every interaction that they have with the lock, and shares information with other authorized users, the participants were mostly not concerned about these issues. And they understood that the lock needs to keep this sort of information for it to function properly. For the last 2 concerns, which are sharing personal information and sharing personal information with other parties and hacking, the participants showed a little bit more of a concern, but most of them were still only slightly concerned. The lack of concern was either because they don't believe themselves to be potential targets for hackers, or that they trust the manufacturer to implement security protocols that prevents them from being hacked easily. Some participants were also not concerned about these issues, mainly because the manufacturers, some of the participants were also not concerned about the fact that the manufacturer might share their information with other parties, because they believe that other apps on their phone already do that, so they were not that concerned about this. We also wanted to understand how increasing the user's awareness of specific locks, privacy, and security issues would affect their level of concern regarding those issues. So we asked the participants about their level of concern regarding the possibility of revocation evasion, which is when a person whose access has been recently revoked can still operate the lock, and log evasion, which is when a legitimate user of the lock can still operate the lock without that specific interaction showing up on the access logs. Then towards the end of the interview, we showed them a video demonstration of the two issues and asked them about their level of concern again. So for both issues, there was an increase in the level of concern, especially in the case of log evasion, where it was found to be statistically significant. Moving on to mitigation strategies and what the participants used to deal with their privacy and security concerns. The most popular mitigation strategy was adding another layer of security or other layers of security, such as a video doorbell, which was very common among the participants, or using a secondary lock on the door, or using a door chain guard. However, only 4 participants stated that they would not use the lock if they didn't have that additional layer of security. Other participants also said that they connect they connect their smart locks and other smart home devices to a separate network different from the one that they connect their phones and laptops to, and that's in order to lower the possibility of them being hacked. Some participants also said that they try to manage access codes carefully and only give access to trustworthy individuals. And another participant mentioned that they maintain the keypad or touchpad regularly to make sure that no fingerprints or signs of wear and tear are visible on certain keys, which might give an indication to an attacker of what the correct access code is. So going over some of the lessons that we learned from this study. First, convenience over security. So the participants were mostly aware of some of the popular security and privacy threats, such as the possibility of hacking or sharing their personal information with other parties and so on. But they believed that the convenience of smart locks outweighed the security threats and concerns. The lack of concern regarding possible security issues was mainly caused by trust in the manufacturer, trust in the other people or the other users of the lock. And we also demonstrated how increasing the user's level of concern, increasing the user's level of awareness regarding specific security and privacy concerns also that affect the smart lock can also increase the user's level of concern regarding those issues. We were also surprised to find out that more than half of the participants shared access to their locks with non-residents, which takes us to the last point, which is improving access control management. In the paper, we actually talked about how it might be a good idea for smart locks to replace the role-based access control management systems that most commercially available smart locks use with another access management system that offers more granularity, such as a capability-based access control or attribute-based access control systems. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.